Britain's economy is under incredible strain.
The British economy is in a bit of a mess at the moment, to put it mildly. Unemployment is rising, salaries are stagnating, houses are unaffordable.
How does a country go from ruling a fourth of humanity to struggling with basic stuff like healthcare, housing and wages?
Borrowing costs have reached a 27-year high.
They call it the City of Dreams, London, glittering, global, and still one of the most powerful financial hubs on Earth. As of 2023, its economy stood at a staggering 618 billion euros, which translates to around $769 billion. If London were an independent country, it would be the 22nd largest economy in the world, sitting just above Sweden and Argentina. But beyond the skyline of the Shard and Canary Wharf lies a very different Britain. A Britain where wages have stagnated for over 15 years, housing has become unaffordable, and public services are crumbling. For millions, the wealth and power concentrated in London feels like a distant planet. This isn't just inequality. This is a national fracture, and it didn't happen overnight. What you're about to see is the untold story of how the UK, once the beacon of industrial power and innovation, is slowly morphing into a broken economy anchored only by a single city. The roots of Britain's economic decline trace back to 2008, the global financial crisis. Like many developed countries, the UK was heavily hit. It borrowed £141 billion to bail out major banks, including RBS and Lloyds. But while others used this moment to revitalize their economies with aggressive public investment, the UK took a different path: austerity. Instead of stimulus, the government slashed spending. There were no significant tax cuts for the middle class, no infrastructure boom, no minimum wage hike. The idea was to restore fiscal discipline. The result, a stagnating economy. Real household income dropped and flatlined. From 2008 to 2023, British families saw little to no improvement in their take-home pay, even as costs continued to rise. By 2007, British households were only 6% behind the US in terms of prosperity. By 2025, they are 16% behind. Compared to Norway, a 20% gap. That kind of erosion in living standards doesn't just hurt wallets, it breaks trust. Economic growth relies on one key ingredient: productivity. Before the 2008 crash, UK productivity was growing at nearly 2% a year, one of the best rates among G7 nations. But that momentum stopped dead. Since then, productivity has remained stubbornly low. Today, the UK has the second lowest productivity in the G7, just above Japan. Why does this matter? Because productivity growth means more output per worker without increasing hours. It means higher wages, better living standards, and more room to invest. Countries like Japan are now transforming agricultural land into microchip factories. This boosts economic output dramatically. The UK, on the other hand, failed to modernize or transition to high-margin industries. No meaningful industrial strategy, no coherent investment in R&D, no national mission to lift productivity. Britain essentially chose to survive instead of evolve. As if stagnation weren't enough, Britain then faced three massive shocks back to back. First came Brexit. From 2016 to 2021, foreign direct investment dropped by 25%. Companies delayed or canceled projects due to uncertainty. Supply chains weakened. Markets shrank. Then came COVID-19. The government responded with a bold £280 billion stimulus. It was necessary, but it ballooned national debt. At the time, interest rates were just 0.1%, so repayments seemed manageable. But nothing prepared the UK for what came next: the Ukraine war. The sanctions on Russian energy triggered a European-wide energy crisis. UK households suddenly faced energy bills that were 3 times higher. To soften the blow, the government spent between £60 billion to £100 billion more. This meant more debt that had to be serviced at now higher interest rates. Debt servicing costs went from £40 billion per year to over £100 billion. To put that in perspective, that's more than the UK's entire defense budget. And this surge came at the worst possible time. Post-COVID, most G7 countries saw their workforces bounce back. Not Britain. Economic activity among working-age people remains lower than before the pandemic. Unemployment may be officially at 4.4%, about 1.5 million people. But over 11 million people are missing from the workforce entirely. They are labeled economically inactive. 2.1 million are full-time students. 3.5 million are aged over 50 and out due to long-term illness or early retirement. Over 1 million are caregivers. This invisible workforce means fewer people paying taxes and more people depending on public services. To fill the gap, Britain ramped up immigration, especially from South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Migrants filled key roles in healthcare, logistics, and construction, but this rapid influx brought its own tensions. In August 2024, anti-immigration riots erupted in over 20 British towns. While the violence may have peaked, the social unrest lingers. Today, Britain functions like a two-speed economy. London surges ahead, while the rest of the nation falls behind. Productivity is flat, wages are stagnant, debt is rising, and the workforce is shrinking. Public services are stretched thin. Education, healthcare, policing, all feeling the pressure of underinvestment and political neglect. And yet, history shows that nations can rebound. Britain was the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. It has reinvented itself before. The question is, will it do it again? Should Britain double down on technology and green industry? Should it invest in education, health, and childcare to revive its workforce? Or does it need a completely new economic model? Let us know what you think. What would you do to fix Britain's broken economy? Drop your thoughts in the comments.